Okay, welcome everyone to this webinar on the MSc in Human Resource Management. You're all very welcome and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you're joining us around the world today. We're going to be talking about the MSc Human Resource Management here at the UCD Michael Smurfit Graduate Business School. This is both an opportunity for us to give you an overview of the program and also an opportunity for you guys to ask any questions that you might have if you're considering coming and studying with us here in UCD. So just by way of introductions, I'm Dr. Huw Thomas. I'm the Program Director of the MSc in HRM. In terms of I oversee the academic aspects to do with the program. I put my email address there and also my LinkedIn. Feel free to connect with me, or if you have any questions, you can email me afterwards as well if I can help anything that might come to your mind afterwards. We have Dr. Stephen McCartney here, who is the incoming program director of the MSc, and he's going to be specifically talking about how we're tackling AI and analytics in the program in the second half of this webinar. And we also have Sinead here as well, from who's admissions manager, and she'll be answering any questions you have on admissions. So, what is this course all about? Well, effectively, the world of work as we know at the moment is changing, and HR is becoming a more integral and increasingly important part of business strategy and vision. And that's kind of what drives us within this program. We want to basically equip students with all the necessary technical analytical skills that they need to thrive in this new world of work, in terms of being able to navigate it, but also combining theoretical insight with also the latest practical skills and approaches. So this is a program which we've recently redesigned from the ground up. In fact, September 2026 will be the first year that we've restructured this new program based on feedback from alumni as well as employers in terms of what employers are looking for in terms of the graduates of the master's program in terms of their skills. So there's two study options. We have a full-time 12-month intensive course and also a part-time program which goes over 24 months. You would do 6 trimesters there. All of our programs here are face-to-face. This is not a distance course, and lectures and tutorials all occur during the normal working day. And who is this program for? Effectively, this is for any student who or any individual who's looking to basically pursue a career in human resource management or develop their kind of existing competencies in this area. This program is specifically designed for those who really want to go into human resource management. So there's a lot more I could say about the program. There's lots of stuff online, but these are my kind of 5 top reasons why I think you might consider coming to study here at UCD. There's a lot of masters in human resource management across Ireland, the UK, and the US, and continental Europe. So why would you perhaps consider coming here to UCD? Well, first, this program is accredited by the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development. And for those of you who have never come across this Chartered Institute before, effectively, like you would have a Chartered Institute for accountants, this one is one specifically for HR professionals. The CIPD have looked at our program and they've accredited the program. What that basically means is that they've looked at what we cover during the course, and this meets the core kind of knowledge and behaviors and skills that they expect HR professionals to come out from an intensive master's program. It also means that if you study here, you don't just get an MSc in Human Resource Management, you also become an associate member of CIPD. This is often really, really useful in terms of getting positions within human resource management in lots of different organizations. So that's the first reason. The second, that this is what we call an academic-led professional education. So here at UCD, we are actually the oldest human resource management department in Ireland. And we combine what you might call the art and the science of human resource management. You'll be taught by some of the leading professors internationally on human resource management, but also practitioners who are engaged in actually practicing human resource management or have extensive experience in being at the forefront of human resource management in lots of different organizations, both SMEs as well as large multinationals. So it's academic led in terms of the fact that you're going to be taught the latest theory, the latest academic research, but it's also professional in terms of giving you skills that you need to thrive in the workplace. Reason three, the Smurfit advantage. The Michael Smurfit Graduate Business School is one of the best business schools in Europe. It has a particular legacy, a particular brand that's associated with it. The fact that you might be here today watching this webinar might be as a reason behind why you're here. It also means that our graduates, having a master's from the Michael Smurfit Graduate Business School often lets them sort of stand out in the crowd when it comes to employment opportunities. Most of our students, over 90% of our students, are employed within 6 months after graduating from this program. We have two unique foci within this program, International Human Resource Management and HR Analytics. And I'll talk a little bit more about this when we get to the program structure in a moment. But we basically allow you to develop your skills in these two areas or decide to take a more kind of generalist approach. And I'll come to this reason a bit more detail in a moment. Reason five, location, location, location. I think when you're looking at master's programs that you might want to be studying, you might be looking at loads of different countries, loads of different areas. What's so nice about where UCD is based, where the Michael Smurfit Graduate Business School is based, is that we're right here on the edge of Europe here. We're in a beautiful campus, as you can see from some of the images here on the screen, as well as you can see from behind my background here on Zoom. So we're here at the edge of Europe, which means that you have access to Europe and the benefits that brings. Dublin Airport, you can get to multiple different places very, very quickly. But also more locally, we're located right near the centre of Dublin, a thriving European city, but also a city that's both close to the sea and also close to the mountains as well. So it's also a wonderful place to study. Dublin, it has a really nice vibe about it. It's a very safe city. It's a very easy city to get around. It's a very easily manageable city as well. And here's just some more images of the campus, because I know you haven't been necessarily able to come and visit the campus on one of the more in-person open days. So here's just a few images here. So it's a wonderful place to study as well. So what will you study here? Like I said, this program is brand new in terms of its structure this year. The actual MSc in Human Resource Management has been going for over 25 years here at UCD, which also adds another advantage to studying on this course. We have 25 years of graduates who have studied MSc and HRM. Our alumni are now in some of the upper echelons of organizations, directors of HR in lots of different organizations, which is also a unique aspect to do with this program. So what will you study? It's spread over three what we call trimesters here. So you have your normal one that runs to about Christmas, then till after Easter, but then also a summer trimester as well. There is no dissertation in this master's. We specialize really in modular-based teaching. So in the first semester, you establish some of the foundations of human resource management, taking courses like strategic human resource management and employment relations. And then in each semester as we go through, you'll be given an option. So in semester one, you could either specialize in employment law or managing performance in organizations. Then in semester two, you do a core module on business alignment, technology and change management, as well as a brand new module for this year around climate change and human resource management. This is an emerging area of interest, an emerging area where we believe, and a lot of employers believe, that HR has a leading role to play here in terms of green HRM and their role within sustainability in the climate crisis. You also then get to specialize a bit. If you remember earlier, I talked about the two unique foci of this program, International HRM and HR Analytics. So you'll have a choice here of taking a work in the global economy module or a fundamental of people analytics. Then finally in semester three, we kind of come to a lot of our applied modules here. So one module here on developing your competencies for human resource management, one on strategic talent enablement, and again, that specialism there again. So you could have either, sorry, let me go back to the previous slide. You could have either specialized in maybe people analytics and then develop that further in a data analytics module, or you could maybe then have a dabble in some of the more international HRM modules. So there's a bit more information on the website here. This is very much a quick 10-minute overview, but hopefully gives you a flavor of what the program is about. And I'd be happy to answer your questions afterwards. Now I'm going over to Stephen now. particularly to ask him really about this question. Stephen's the incoming program director, so if you decide to study from September, he will be the program director looking after you guys. So my question to you, Stephen, is how are we equipping our students for the rapidly changing world of work? And I'm going to stop sharing now so Stephen can then share his slides.
Sure. And excellent. Thanks you. Hopefully everybody can see that. Can we not?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's perfect,
perfect.
Stephen.
So let me just put that up there. And continue to share. Yeah. Perfect. And so, Hugh, it's a great question, right? How are we equipping students with the rapidly changing world of work? And one of the things that's quite unique in our offering is the ability to have actually embedding AI and as well as people analytics within our programs. So, as we know, artificial intelligence is kind of being talked about. Kind of everywhere, right? And it's fundamentally reshaping how organizations are currently managed or will make decisions, and really how we're going to be designing work in the future. And we typically think of artificial intelligence in kind of two ways, right? Discriminative AI, right? And many of us may be familiar with that, right? Focusing on predictions, right? Decision supports, right? So being able to use AI in order to enhance our decision making, right? And now, again, since November of 2022, we're seeing a lot more work around this idea of generative AI, right? And what its capabilities are around creating content, right? Simulating expertise, offering real-time decision making through interactions, right? And so we can see AI being really ingrained in what we're doing now in human resource management, specifically on the generative AI side, right? We're seeing that more and more professionals and professionals who we talk to are using ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude in different ways, right? So, for example, drafting policies, right? They may help with generating insights from unstructured data, right? Supporting learning and development, and sometimes even augmenting managerial decision making and decision processes, right? So we know that this is kind of happening. And because of this, again, part of this revamping of the program was to kind of embed artificial intelligence and what is going on out there to prepare students for what you're going to experience kind of when you leave and graduate. And we've done this in three different kind of ways, right? And it's been embedded across the curriculum, specifically within three modules. So like Hugh talked about, within that second semester, you'll be taking HRM technology, analytics, and digital innovation, right? That module talks about things like the algorithmic management and the gig economy, right? So talking about how AI is being used in that context, right? And in the two modules that I teach, the first one around fundamentals of people analytics, we talk a lot about how AI is being used as a decision support system in order to make data-driven decisions around our workforce, right? So how can we use AI and how can we use these programs to make more evidence-based decisions around our workforce, right? And as well, around data analytics and HRM, which is another module that's one of the electives that you can kind of take, is around specifically we've embedded or I've embedded this AI in the curriculum here, specifically where students are actually encouraged, and we actually use ChatGPT, the premium version, in class to do a lot of different things, right? And so, kind of an example of what I kind of wanted to share with you, just to give you a little bit of a flavor of how we've actually embedded this in the program. So students work with realistic data sets, right? And these are all generated from AI platforms. And these will reflect common HR challenges, right? So you may see things around missing data. You may see inconsistencies and measurement issues within a number of different variables, right? So whether that's employment, around diversity and inclusion, whether that's around performance management, compensation values, right? So we'll see all of these things that are kind of simulated through using an AI platform. And then, like I said, students in this program or this module use tools like Excel But in addition to Excel, you're going to work with generative AI systems, ChatGPT, for example, to clean, analyze, and interpret this data, right? And so in this module, what we do is we kind of use AI as a collaborative partner, right? So we are trying to not work against AI. We're trying to look at how we can use AI in analyzing data in HRM and how we can kind of identify different patterns, right? So we talk about natural language processing. We talk about how we can do some sort of sentiment analysis on comments from employees, right? And so again, we're using this in a way to build students or prepare students for work outside of the classroom. And organizations are asking for students to have these sort of skills, right? Whether it's prompt engineering, whether it's understanding how to interpret certain things or outputs from AI. So that's one of the things that we do within the data analytics and HRM module specifically. And again, another kind of example of this, and maybe some of you are familiar with GPTs or custom GPTs, but in this module, students again get to create their own GPT, right? And so, in for the group assignment, for example, it provides students with the opportunity to apply their understanding of people analytics by designing and showcasing a custom GPT, right? And again, we use OpenAI's GPT Builder that comes through ChatGPT Premium. And so, working in groups, your team develops its own GPT that will support a specific process. So, a few examples, maybe one group last year did kind of a data cleaning GPT, right? So if you provided a messy data set, or if you were provided with a messy data set in HR, and there was a bunch of inconsistent values and holes and missing values and things like that, they created a GPT that would actually, through using prompts, actually clean that entire data set for you, right? And these are things that are skills that are going to be very practical when you leave and graduate, because students are being asked to be able to have these kind of skills. So again, just being able to highlight how we are kind of embedding analytics and AI within the different modules that we have. So overall, by doing this, it hopefully will prepare you for rapidly evolving work, right? AI is not going away, and more employers are looking for students who have these skills, right? Can work with GPTs and can work with ChatGPT and Claude and all of these different kind of things. So we've tried to integrate AI across the curriculum, right? And so the program ensures that students are prepared, again, like I've said, for these realities of modern HRM, right? Where you are going to be using these sort of generative AI platforms to analyze data or create job descriptions or help with performance management processes, right? So where data, technology, and human insight intersect to shape organizational outcomes. So that's everything from me. I can stop sharing. And again, very happy to answer any questions that you guys may have on anything around how we're embedding this and what this might look like. So again, thanks very much. And yeah, happy to answer any questions.
Thanks so much, Stephen. Yeah, as Stephen said, now's the opportunity for you to ask any questions that you have. There's a Q&A function at the bottom. I think Beth put some information there in the chat. So you can post your question anonymously if you'd like to, so you don't feel like you have to put your name out there. But we're happy to take any questions that you have to myself, Stephen, or to Sinead, who's here from admissions.
Just we're still open for applications, so if anyone does want to still apply, please reach out to us. I'll put in our email address there as well if you have any queries with regard to the admissions process.
I assume everyone here is interested in becoming HR managers, and also if they're looking maybe at other programs, we can. Uh, Molly, you've raised your hand, which is great. I assume you have the ability to ask a question via audio. I'm not 100% sure, but if you do, please do turn your microphone on. I, there we go. Sinead, you're mute on mute.
Does Molly wish to ask a question? Or I just wanted to ask a question that some people do ask generally. I find from students, the accreditation, is that accreditation recognised internationally as well as
Yeah,
being in England?
so CIPD is recognized internationally. It's definitely of We've seen it over the last few years or so that more and more students who are coming to study at UCD, one of the reasons is because it's CIPD accredited, and that's a lot of international students as well. So it's a lot of times got recognition back in their home institution. Now, I do not know how it plays out in every country in the world, but I do know in Ireland and the UK, for example, CIPD is recognized and a very important aspect to do with moving up to the next level in your HR career journey. I also know Australia also would recognize it. I don't know every country, but it's definitely the case that I would say 98 to 99% of the students who are now coming and studying here at UCD and taking the masters are one of the reasons is because of CIPD accreditation.
Thank you.
Molly, I wonder if you could have maybe another go, see if you could, if you still had your question and if you were able to unmute yourself and ask it. If not, you might need to type it, um, if that's possible. It does say you are permitted to talk, which is quite a funny sort of way of framing it. But anyway, if maybe better if you write your question in the Q&A at the bottom half of the screen. There is a question here from Leah though, saying if you come from a non-HR general business undergraduate background, will I still be able to do it or catch up with the others? Yeah, absolutely. Actually, it's a really nice cohort that we have studying the MSc in HRM. We actually have people coming from a wide range of disciplinary backgrounds. Some who have done an undergraduate in human resource management, but I would say that that is um, not that many students who would do that. Most students are probably coming from psychology or have done a business degree already, often a generalist business degree like a BCom or a bachelor's in business management. But we also have students who have come from sociology or political science, other social sciences as well. So we assume basically that students also a point to make is that a lot of students will have come to the Masters of Human Resource Management after doing 5, sometimes 10 years, um, 5, 10 years already in industry. So maybe it's been a long time since they've studied. And so we kind of take this into account with that foundational first semester where we kind of get everyone up to speed. Now, some it might be easier than others. If they've just, for example, done an undergraduate in human resource management, they might breeze through those first few weeks. But for others, it's just an opportunity to kind of catch up so everyone's then at the same level. But it's a master's, right? So there is an element of difficulty involved in it. So you definitely will be able to catch up if you come from a non-HR background, and even if you come from a non-business background as well. I would say a third of our students come from non-business backgrounds. Just that's off the top of my head, and they do still do very well because also they offer interesting insights into the class, for example, stuff that maybe people hadn't considered before, and often have still picked up those really important critical analytical skills from their undergraduate degree, which they can then apply at a master's level. So it's a great question there.
Yeah, Hugh, if I could just follow up on that specifically from the analytics side, because again, that is one of the pathways or the foci that we have. And, students have asked me in the past, I've never taken any sort of analytics or Excel type program or anything like that. I don't really have a background in that. Would I still be able to take in the second semester the analytics, the people analytics, and then the third semester the foundation or the data analytics? And for those programs, again, or those modules, I've designed them for students who you may not have come from an analytics background, but you're going to be able to ramp up with everybody, right? So again, if you chose that path, you wouldn't be at a disadvantage. Let's say if you came from a non-business background or a business background, you'd be still on par with everyone. And we kind of start from a very basic start point and then move our way forward. So again, just from an analytics perspective, I know students hear analytics and they get very scared. You'd be okay in that sense as well.
Stephen, I have actually another question for you, if that's okay. So Molly's typed a question here, and she says, "Does the course involve any learning of actual HR software such as Workday or HR Locker? Is that covered at all in any of your modules?"
So we talk about Workday from the perspective of what they do, but we don't have any sort of like you wouldn't be able to go into using like Workday as a package, right? Like we wouldn't have a software license for all the students to go in and do that. However, I do have a company has agreed with me currently to actually provide a sandbox environment for students starting next year on an HRIS system. So we will be building that into the foundations of people analytics module. And so it wouldn't be Workday or HR Locker. It is another organization that I can't name right now, but they specialize in time and attendance and HRIS and human capital modules. And they are going to work with me to give you guys access to actually learning about HRIS systems and being able to actually work in a sandbox environment. So yeah, we don't have that from a Workday or HR Locker perspective, but we are going to be working and pairing up with a company that provides software, HR software, and students will be able to work with that.
Mm.
And it's a great
Great.
question.
Thanks, Stephen. So we have a couple minutes left of the webinar. So if you do have any final questions, it'd be great to get them in the Q&A. Sinead, you're on mute.
Oh, just apologies. Just another question there. We have over 100,000 business alumni worldwide. Is there much interaction with alumni for students who study HR? Because obviously, so many companies in Ireland employ people directly from Smurfit. Are there opportunities for our students to engage with alumni?
Yeah, great question. And yes is the answer to that. And actually, we're very proud of our alumni network. As I said, we're the longest running Masters in Human Resource Management in Ireland. And so we have decades there of alumni who have come through the Smurfit doors and have done the Masters. So we engage alumni a lot of the time with guest lectures, for example, which is good networking opportunities. We have certain alumni events. We recently had a specific HR alumni sort of careers event that we had in Smurfit. So these are good opportunities for students to engage with people who maybe would have studied the MSc in HRM 15 years ago. Now they're at the HR leader, a director of HR within certain organizations, and an opportunity for them to network with them. I should say there's no internship with this master's program. It's an intensive 12-month program if you do the full-time program. But that doesn't mean that we try and instead bring businesses into the program itself rather than sending our students outwards, really leveraging that alumni network. So I
Any
think
other
there's
questions?
There's a question here. So we've got 1 minute left. So Leah question, how flexible is the part-time program if you're working full-time? So for the part-time program, you basically are studying across 2 years, but I should say that the modules are done during the day, which would mean that you would have to normally ask for 1, sometimes 2 days off a week from your employer to be able to, or might be afternoons or mornings, for example, to actually do the program. They're in class in-person classes, and so we have people working full time, but they often need to arrange that with their employer to have that time off to study the program. If you have any specific questions on that, please do email me because I think we're now at 4 o'clock and we probably need to finish now, but it's a great question. So I think I probably ending it here now. So thanks so much everyone for coming along. And like I said, if there's any questions you have our email addresses now. We look forward to seeing you in September if you decide to come and study at UCD. So thanks for your time.
Thank you.